Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Carrie Simpson, and this is New Year, New Leads, webinar by Managed Sales Pros. I'm going to give attendees another couple of minutes to join the webinar. We're about 50% at registration now, so I imagine we'll have a few latecomers. This webinar is going to address why you should be cold calling, how you can use cold calling more effectively yourself, and how you can get started right after this webinar. So we're going to have some helpful tips and some suggestions for you. I'm going to try and keep the sales pitch at a dull roar today. I really appreciate everybody joining us on a holiday week. Hopefully this will be a good investment of an hour of your time that's going to prepare you to win some more business in 2016. So let's just give everyone another couple of minutes and then we'll get started. All right, well, I'm ready to go if you are. Let's touch on some housekeeping quickly. You can use the panel on the right to let me know if something isn't working. So if you can't hear me, if there's some sort of technical glitch, please let me know. And I'll have time for questions at the end. I'm going to try and deliver somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes of content and leave about 20 minutes for Q&A at the end. If you don't want to stick around for Q&A, that's just fine. You will receive a recording after this webinar. So thanks again for joining me, and let's get started. So my name is Carrie Simpson, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about Managed Sales Pros. Myself personally, I have 20 years of outbound prospecting experience. We currently work with over 30 MSPs in North America. At last count, we were dialing about 60,000 times a month. We schedule about 300 appointments a month, so that should tell you how many dials it takes to get a meeting. We have over 35 callers at this time. This is a great one. We grew our revenue over 400% this year, and we are still using our own cold calling techniques in-house. It takes us about a week to get a brand new cold caller up and running and performing and scheduling appointments. We've really got that tightened down this year. And the other stuff is just me bragging. But my direct contact information is right here. If you have a question after the webinar, if you want clarification on anything, I'm happy to provide it. You can tweet me at coldcallcarrie. You can email me at carrie@managedsalespros.com. And my direct phone number is there. I'll put that slide up again at the end of the webinar so you can take down that information. I think the most important takeaway here is our company is very similar to a managed services company. We rely on monthly recurring revenue. So the really important number here, as far as I'm concerned, is we were able to use cold calling to grow our own company from $0 in monthly recurring revenue to over $200,000 in monthly recurring revenue in under 2 years' time. And we did that primarily through cold calling. We started this company with $0 and a desk phone and a laptop. And we were able to build our company very quickly using cold calling alone. We didn't get any outside funding. We couldn't afford to go to trade shows. We couldn't afford to do anything except pick up the phone ourselves. So I did this job myself for well over a year, and then I hired somebody to help me, and we just kind of acquired new callers and new clients that way. So we really did build this company just using cold calling, and that's how we build our clients' companies now. So I'm not speaking down in a theoretical way. I actually have done this job myself for over 20 years now. So why should you be cold call prospecting? Hopefully you already believe that you should be cold call prospecting, and that's why you decided to join us today. Cold calling is really all about luck, timing, and process. There is nothing that I'm going to share with you today that's mystical or magical or proprietary. Cold calling is really about applying a process over and over and over again to get better results. So there are about 7 reasons that I think cold calling is a really efficient way to grow your business. And I'm going to review them with you one by one, but it inserts a wedge between your prospect and their current provider. It gives you a leg up on the competition. It helps you identify and uncover new opportunities. It helps you build your reputation in the market. It's a huge decider in whether or not something is going to happen. Most importantly, it keeps your sales funnel full, and it will increase the productivity of all of your marketing campaigns. So timing really is everything when it comes to cold calling. What you're looking for when you're cold calling is the perfect storm opportunity, which is somebody who's unhappy with their current provider. Their contract's going to renew in less than 3 months. They have a budget. They're already paying someone that they don't like to do it. And they have issues after issues after issues. Like, that is the magical promised land for managed services cold calling. How often do you identify an opportunity like that? I can tell you, not very often. So that is really just luck. When you get an opportunity in one call, that is normally luck. So nobody is happy with their provider all the time. I'm sure nobody's happy with our company every minute of the day. People do like to hear about their options. Managed services is a trust-based sale. People don't really understand what you're selling, so they really need to believe in you and believe in your company to purchase from you. And you're not going to get that in one phone call. You're going to have to develop a relationship with them. So what can you do today to start building that relationship? You can get on the phone and you can call people. Prospecting is going to give you a leg up on your competition. This is where you're going to start learning who's winning the business that you want in the market. How much are people paying for their services? So this is great competitive information for you. If you find out that you're charging 20% more than everyone else in the market, or you're charging 50% less than everyone in the market, you may have the opportunity to adjust your services a little bit based on what the market is buying. But without calling and asking those questions, you're not going to know those answers. The really important one is, when are their contracts expiring? Contract end dates are going to build your sales pipeline, so you want to collect that information as you dial. You want to learn things like, why did they choose to go with that provider, and how are you going to win the business away from that provider? So if you can figure out in the course of a call how somebody made their first purchase decision, you can figure out how they're going to make the next purchase decision and position yourself well to win that business. Cold calling is going to help you identify and uncover new opportunities. So let's say that I am looking for IT support in Chicago. Probably what I'm going to do first is Google IT support Chicago, and I'm going to ignore the paid ads at top of Google because I never call those, and then I'm going to go look at the websites of 3 or 4 different companies. If they don't have a phone number on their website, I'm going to ignore them. Then I'll take down a couple of phone numbers, and then I'll start calling them. So I'm not going to do an extraordinary amount of research. I'm just going to start calling people online, and if they answer their phone, I will talk to them, and if they don't answer their phone, I'll skip over it and I'll go to the next one until someone picks up the phone. However, if I had received a phone call a week before I decided to start looking for a new IT service provider, even though in the back of my mind I needed one, the odds are, even if I'm not prepared to have the conversation with you immediately when you call, instead of going to Google first, I'm going to go dig up that phone number, or I'm going to go check that email that you sent me, and I'm going to call you first. People don't really advertise when they're looking. So ideally what happens is you have a conversation with someone, it triggers something, and a couple of weeks later, before going to the intranet, they're going to give you a call and have that conversation with you first. Cold calling is going to help you build your reputation in the market. So perception is reality. You are your business. The person that makes that first phone call is going to represent your company to that prospect until the dawn of time. So do you sound enthusiastic? Are you knowledgeable? Are you networked? Can you begin introducing people in your network to each other? You want to start being known in your community as somebody who is willing to connect people to people that can help them, even if that isn't you at the right time. So are you in this for the right reasons? If the only reason that you are going to cold call is because you like winning, you're going to really hate this process. You're not going to find a lot of joy in your days because statistically, out of every 1,000 calls you make, you are going to close one deal. So if you're going to really truly hate the 999 calls that you're going to have to make before you get that business, cold calling is going to be the worst investment that you've ever made. You're just going to hate it every minute of the day. So if you can get into this for the right reasons, which is going to be networking, learning, sharing information, enjoying other people's company, you will enjoy cold calling. So how do you want to be known in your community? Do you want to be known in your community as the guy that hangs up the phone when somebody says they only have 5 computers? Or do you want to be known as the person who connects them to someone who might be able to help them even though you can't? Cold calling is going to help decide if something is going to happen or not. So a better way to describe this is to kind of envision what scheduling dinner for multiple people is like over a text message. So if I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go for dinner tonight, my husband's coming and a couple of our friends are coming, and we're trying to decide where we're going to go, at what time, and who's going to make the reservation, that is going to require 3 hours worth of texting. I guarantee it. If one of us just picks up the phone and says, hey, where do you want to have dinner tonight? We can quickly come to a conclusion together and somebody can go call and make the reservation. Selling is just like that. You really can't interact efficiently or effectively via email. You can just pick up the phone and ask people questions. So it's the easiest way to start the sales process. It's the easiest way to accelerate the sales process. If you don't know what's happening with an opportunity, or if you're stuck somewhere in the opportunity, you can quite easily pick up the phone, reach out to someone, and just ask them what's going on. It's the easiest way to ask for a commitment. It's really difficult to ignore a phone call from someone who you enjoy working with or speaking with. It's very easy to put an email in a pile saying, I'll get to it later. It's also the fastest way to qualify an opportunity and the best way for you to engage with someone new. This, I think, is the most important feature of cold calling. You need to continually feed your sales funnel to avoid the feast and famine lifestyle that comes with a referral-based business. Almost 100% of the companies that work with us today came to me and said, Carrie, we built our business on referrals, word of mouth. We never had to do any sort of outbound lead generation at all. We didn't have to do any marketing. Business just came to us, and then our clients kept referring business to us. And that's fantastic. Referrals are free. Referrals are a gift, they are flattering, they are a compliment, but they are not a long-term business development strategy. 30 MSPs that I'm working with right now built very solid, $2 to $5 million MSPs on word of mouth alone, and then the word of mouth stopped. Their referrals dried up and they didn't know what to do because they had never created an outbound sales marketing funnel. So your referrals will dry up one day. And an empty funnel for 1 quarter will mean no new business for 3 quarters. So while these free referrals are coming in, that's fantastic. Of course, you should accept all of them and work all of those leads, but you need to create a process by which you're going to create a full pipeline, meaning if you're going to have to contact 1,000 people or 100 people in order for you to get one new opportunity to pursue, you're going to have to continually put all those new leads in the top of the pipeline. So if you're going to put 100 leads into your pipeline every quarter or 1,000 leads into your pipeline every quarter, depending on whether you are a business owner or leader or a sales rep, most business owners are not going to have time to make 1,000 cold calls a quarter, period. You're not going to have the time to do it. You might have time to make 10 a day, 20 a day. You need to put those into the top of the funnel and keep working them. So as you move them forward in the sales process, you will have what I describe as action items associated to them. So for a quarter's worth of prospecting, you're going to have follow-up activities and action items that you're going to need to pursue over the next 3 quarters. Somebody wants to be called back in a month, somebody is on vacation, somebody's contract renews in 6 months. Every dial that you make will have some follow activities that are associated to it. So no dials means no follow-ups, no activities. It means a dead pipeline for almost an entire year. And if you are a small business, you could conceivably go out of business without a full sales funnel. Cold calling is going to increase the productivity of all of your marketing campaigns. So everything that you're doing right now, you can improve the efficiency of by supporting it with cold calling. So you can't rely on just one method to drive new business. At no time would I ever suggest to a client that they should only cold call, or that they should only do email marketing, or only do direct mail, or only attend trade shows. You need to do a whole bunch of everything, and you need to test it. So you need to identify for you, for your company personally, what is the best 1-2 punch for you? Is it call, email, direct mail? Is it call, direct mail, email? Is it direct mail, call, follow-up, call, follow? You will learn what works best for you, but you can't rely on cold calling alone, and you can't rely on other methodologies on their own either. You need to dovetail them all together. And it may take 9 or more touches just to reach a prospect for the first time. It's getting more and more difficult to engage with people. People get saturated. Their inboxes are full. Their voicemails are full. It's getting more and more difficult to fight for the bandwidth that each and every person has to give over to you. So when I think about email, for example, I have no fewer than 7,000 emails in my inbox right now that I have not opened. Right? I don't have time to read unsolicited email. I have emails from clients that I need to take care of first. Then I have emails from prospects, and then maybe I'll get to the other stuff. So the odds on me opening an unsolicited email are very, very low. But if somebody sent me an email and then called me and say, hey, what did you think of the XYZ that I sent you? Odds are I'm going to go back and look for that email. So it's going to create a better sales funnel for you. And it's going to increase the efficiency of everything else that you're doing. So you don't need to just cold call blindly all the time. You can cold call to support other initiatives, and you can support your cold calling with direct mail and with email, and that's going to make your cold calling better and your sales cycle shorter. The more places and times that people are hearing your name, the better for branding it is. I believe that advertisers used to say when they were selling newspaper advertising, for example, that until somebody saw your logo somewhere 6 times, it didn't even register to them that you were an option or a choice. So we didn't really talk about selling at all over the last couple of slides, and there's a really good reason for that. You cannot sell managed services on the phone. It is not possible. At no time in the history of our business has anyone ever said to us, yes, we have 100 computers and we're going to pay $100 per desktop for a managed support contract. Come on in with your contract, sign it, and let's get started. No, the cold call is the very beginning of the sales relationship. It's certainly not the end, and it's really the beginning of a relationship that's ideally going to give you the opportunity to try to win this business. So cold call prospecting is a marketing methodology. It is a sales support methodology, but it's not something that I would rely on to win business quickly. It's a long game. So if you're not selling when you're prospecting, what are you doing? So there are 7 different things you're doing on an outbound prospecting call. You're connecting, mapping, qualifying, learning, educating, building rapport, and earning the opportunity to present your solutions. So telephone prospecting allows you to connect in a very real and authentic way quickly with the people that you want to be doing business with. Anybody that tells you that cold calling is dead is trying to sell you software, I guarantee it. But people need to talk to people to purchase something as complex as managed services. Right? Think about the age of the people that you're trying to sell your services to. So if you're selling into the SMB market, there's very few 25-year-old CEOs out there right now. Most of them are probably double that age, my age higher than that. And I didn't have the internet until I was 26. So I was 2 jobs into my career before I even had an email address. And most of the people that I am selling to are my age and older. So trying to connect with people in new and modern ways doesn't really work that well. I'm not going onto Twitter to buy things. I manage my personal Twitter account and I have a little bit of fun with it, but I pay someone to tweet and I pay someone to read tweets. That's not a good way to connect with a decision maker. I am still doing business the old-fashioned way. I want to talk to somebody. I want to feel confident in the decision that I'm making. People don't buy technology. They buy good ideas from people they like and people that they trust. And ignoring somebody that you like and trust when they call you back is very difficult to do. So mapping an organization on the phone is quick and simple. It'll save you countless hours of research. So I want you to think about stopping what you're currently doing to learn things about the companies that you want to do business with. So if you allowed, for example, your full-time outbound sales reps to do research before they call people, you are probably losing a full 4 work days every month just to research. That's a full day every week to somebody just looking at the internet. When one phone call and a 5-minute conversation with anyone who answers the phone is going to tell you more about this company than an hour on the internet ever could. So you want to find out who's making the decision. What's the best way to reach them? What's the best time to reach them? Who's going to influence that decision? How do they like to be contacted? You might find out that they never pick up the phone and you need to email them. That's fine. You can email them. What are the politics at play in this company? And what else do you want to know before you invest more time in this opportunity? For example, one of our clients, a good friend of mine, doesn't like to do business with people who aren't married with kids. That is his personal preference. He feels like he can understand a business owner who is running a business to support his family. He feels like he understands what drives them, and those are the people that he wants to do business with. So he will not take on a client who is single. That's just his personal preference. It's actually very difficult to dance around that and find out whether or not somebody is married, but that's a choice that he's made. Are there choices that you have made about the types of business that you want to do business with? And if so, can you learn that while you're mapping an organization to find out whether you do or do not want to follow up on this lead? A lot of that's going to come down to qualifying. So if it's taking you anywhere from 6 to 19 tries to engage with a decision maker, use your first call to qualify an account so that you don't make another 18 calls in and waste everybody's time. And again, your time is just as valuable as everybody else's. It's in limited supply. If you're running a business and you've only got time to make 10 or 20 calls a day, you need to make the best calls that you can. So you don't need to talk to the decision maker to find out, for example, how many computers they have on site there. That is something that the gatekeeper or the receptionist or a sales rep or anybody who picks up the phone can tell you. You can qualify an account without trying to reach the actual decision maker. So a call that is going to tell you who you don't want to work with is going to be just as valuable to you as one that tells you who you do want to work with. You never have to call this company again. It gets removed from your database. You never look at it. It's not cluttering up your day any longer. So think about taking those 1,000 leads in your market and slowly but surely creating a manageable list of 300 leads that you're going to continually nurture based on things like contract end date. That's what qualifying is going to help you to do. Then you want to start learning everything you can about that client, everything you can about the verticals that you want to service, everything you can about the culture within a company, everything you can about the politics within that organization. Learn everything you can about what your competition is doing. Learn everything you can about their current infrastructure. If somebody sends you to the IT department and you know you don't want to pitch IT, talk to them anyhow. Figure out what they're doing there. What are the problems that they're having? Now you can come back to the CEO and have a conversation with him using actual facts and not just theoreticals. Just learn everything that you can. This is my favorite part of cold calling. This is why I've been able to do it over and over again for 20 years without losing my enthusiasm for it. I get to talk to fascinating people every day. I get to talk to business owners, business leaders, people who are trying to solve the same problems that I am, people that are invested and passionate and really excited about what they're trying to do for their businesses. So if you make it your goal to learn something about every company that you call into, you will never leave your day disappointed. If the only thing you like about cold calling is winning, you're not going to enjoy it, and you should probably get somebody else to do it for you. But knowledge in this context is power, and it will definitely be competitive advantage. Now you have to return the favor. You've just spent a lot of time learning from a company. Now you want to educate them. You need to provide value to people when you're cold calling. So if you think about how disruptive a cold call can be to somebody's day, if you call me and I make the active decision to engage with you, I am also making an active decision to not do something else. So whether that's a revenue generating activity or a business building activity, I am going to put that aside now and I'm going to spend my very valuable time, and your time is valuable. If you think about what you could be generating right now, right? You've spent an hour with me. What do you bill out at by the hour? How much money are you losing being here? What kind of ROI does this webinar have to have for you in order for it to make sense for you to attend? Think about that when you're prospecting. What do you have to share with people in order for them to see value in the conversation? So you don't only want to talk about you, your business, selling. There are things that you can discuss with them as business owners especially. You're really at a great advantage as a business owner that's doing your own prospecting, because you are trying to solve some of the same problems that the people that you are prospecting out to are, and you're going to be able to have really valuable conversations with them. But I want to consider leaving the jargon behind, leaving any of the technology discussions that you might have at a trade show on the table. People who leave conversations feeling overwhelmed do not make purchase decisions. So if you call me and I have no idea what you're trying to sell me, I have no idea what you're talking about, I know that I have a problem and you've pointed out the problem, but I don't understand anything that you've said after. Instead of solving that problem with you, I am probably going to go back to my desk feeling discouraged and overwhelmed, and like I can't possibly make a decision right now because I don't really get what's happening. People who leave conversations feeling smart and confident make purchase decisions. And that's how you want people leaving the discussions that you're having with them. So if you cannot carefully, slowly, precisely, and in a very, I hate to say this, but you need to dumb down technology quite a bit to make it accessible to the masses. You don't want to sell technology. You want to sell a process and an outcome. That's what people want to purchase. And most people don't know what options they have available to them. A lot of people are living in day-to-day technology pain, not even realizing that there is a better way to do things, not realizing that they could eliminate a lot of their day-to-day frustration with one simple tool or one simple change. So quite often, if you can explain it to them in an accessible way that they can understand it, they are going to make that purchase a whole lot faster, because they feel confident, they understand what you've said. If you leave them feeling overwhelmed, they're going to put off making that buying decision, and now you're another 8 or 10 interactions away from actually winning that business. So practice explaining what you do in very simple terminology. And this is the great part. Cold calling allows you to build rapport. If they don't know you, they don't trust you. And if they don't trust you, they aren't going to buy from you. And they may not have a need today, but good rapport leads to top of mind later in the sales cycle. And what you want to strive for is to become the only person they would ever call if they were going to change providers. You want to become the only person that they would refer to another company at a cocktail party. You really want to start creating a relationship with the companies that you want to do business with that eliminates the competition. It just leaves them behind. Start becoming friends with people. That's how you sell to people. You need to earn the opportunity to do business with them, and that isn't usually going to happen in one interaction. So when we look at the opportunities that drop out of the sky here at Managed Sales Pros, and I call those one call closes. I mean, here a sale for us is a meeting. So a one call close is very, very rare. And sometimes it's going to go somewhere and sometimes it isn't. And a lot of the times it's a company whose house is on fire. And most of our clients do not want to do business with people whose houses are on fire. They want to do business with people who deliberately considered all of their options and then chose them. So you need to prove to companies that you deserve the chance to win their business and then earn for the right to ask for it. And that is really the natural progression of any kind of relationship. You don't jump into a marriage after one date. There's my quote, courtesy of Frozen, which I watched no fewer than 15 times over the Christmas holidays. Thank you to my 4-year-old. You need to prove to people that you deserve their business, and you need to show them that you want their business. And cold calling will be a huge component in that. So what is stopping you, or what has stopped you up to date from cold calling? Probably it's something that's called call reluctance. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that right now. Excuse me, call reluctance is usually the basis of some limiting beliefs, things like I can't do this or I'm not good at this. And I'm here to tell you that you can do it and you will be good at it if you practice it. But here are some of the things that create call reluctance. It's the perception that you are bothering someone. It's the fear of rejection, and not just the rejection of you personally, but of the business that you've carefully built over the last, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. You've created something that you love, and the idea that somebody is going to say, no, you're not good enough for me, can be really overwhelming for some people. And then there is the procrastination factor, where people want to make sure they're going to do it just right before they begin. They want to get all their ducks in a row before they start anything new. And I am here to tell you that done is better than perfect. So here are some activities that you can work on to get through that initial call reluctance. And if you're lucky, you can win some new business while you're doing it. So here are the ways that you can begin cold calling without actually cold calling. And I'm going to go through them one by one, slide by slide, but I'll run through them really fast here. Call your current clients and try and sell them something new. Call your current clients, ask them for referrals. Go through your Rolodex, and if you know what a Rolodex is, you're probably my age or older. Reconnect with anyone that you haven't talked to in a long time and invite them to get together for something. And go through LinkedIn and call any connection that you have never actually met in person to introduce yourself and introduce your services. Next slide. So for getting ready to cold call, call your current clients. This should be non-threatening. All of your clients talk to you all the time. They know you, they like you, they trust you. Calling them should be a no-brainer. But have you asked all of your current clients to move over to a managed services plan if that's your desired outcome? If that's the business model that you're moving towards, have you called each and every person that's already on your client roster and asked them to move to a managed services contract? I can tell you that we win more business in this space for our clients than anywhere else, from companies that actually do offer managed services but never tried to sell it to the company that we're pitching because they were afraid they might lose their business. So at some point you have to decide what your business model is going to be, and if you're going to offer a hybrid solution, that's fine too. But have you asked everybody on your client roster to become a managed services client? That's a great way to start practicing cold calling. And if you don't want to sell them on a managed services plan, what other things can you offer your current client base right now? What products do you have that you have not sold to them yet? And there's a great way you can make a little matrix and go through client by client and see what they're buying from you and see what's left over, and then reach out to them one at a time and suggest other things that they could be doing to make their technology run more efficiently, and ideally that's going to increase your margins as well. But that is a nice, safe space to begin cold calling in. They already like you and they already trust you, so start there trying to sell them new services and new products. Get ready for cold calling by asking your current clients for referrals. So you should make this as easy as possible for your clients while you're doing this. So call your current clients first of all and make sure they're happy. The end of the year is a perfect time to be doing that. Reach out to all of your clients, ask them how they enjoyed working with you this year, see if there's anything that they aren't happy about, and if they aren't happy about something, solve that problem for them. And if they are happy, ask them to refer you to other people. So I think the easiest way to do this is to prepare a testimonial in advance. Review the things that you've done for this company and highlight them for them. Show them how valuable you are. Show them the things that you were able to do for them this year that they may not even know about. Prepare a testimonial based on those things and prepare an introductory letter. and review their LinkedIn profile so that you can have some suggestions. So if you say something like, hey, can you think of who might use our services? And they say, no, I really don't know anybody. You can say, I spent a couple of minutes preparing for this call, and there are 5 people on your LinkedIn profile that I would really like to do business with. And with your permission, I would like to contact them, and I'd like to provide them with this introductory letter, the one that you've already written, and this testimonial, the one that you've already written. And now you're ready to go. You can reach out to that person. You've got a nice warm introduction, and you've got a verified, happy, referenceable client who is prepared to field that invitation for you. So that is a great way to start practicing cold calling. Talk to people that you already know and get them to introduce you to people that you do not yet know. But you're still going to have to call those new clients. Don't put the burden on your clients. Your clients don't owe you anything. They're running their own businesses. They don't have an hour to spend chasing down new business for you. That's your job. All you want from your client is that testimonial, that introductory letter, and the permission to reach out to people in their contact list. Here's where you get to reconnect with people that you said we're going to have a coffee like 3 years ago and never called. Start aggressively growing your network while you're cold calling, and start with the people that you haven't spoken to in forever. And there's an important reason that you want to do this. You want to build the most powerful business network that you can. Ideally, you want to create relationships with people where they're just walking business to your door. That's how much they like you. That's how engaged they are with you. You're the only company they think about when somebody mentions that they're looking for something, or they're trying to sell to the same kinds of companies that you are, and they're learning things about those companies. So calling people that you haven't talked to in 3 years and asking them to give you referrals is kind of a jerk move. So get reconnected with them. Spend some time getting to know them. What are they doing these days? Are they still pursuing the same types of business? Stay in touch with them and begin creating that referral network. This is a great way to practice making an ask for an appointment, right? Especially if you haven't talked to somebody for 3 years, 5 years. You can speak to old friends, you can speak to coworkers, people that you used to work with, people that used to work for you, old clients, anybody that you promised to keep in touch with and never kept in touch with. This is the time for you to reach out to them and start getting to know them again. Don't do it in a salesy way. Do it in a social way, a non-threatening, pleasant get-together for a coffee or a drink kind of way. Here's where you get to play on LinkedIn a little bit. Don't waste your whole day on it. But who's on your LinkedIn list that you don't actually know? Personally, I think there are hundreds of people on my LinkedIn network that I haven't ever spoken to. Call these people, learn about them, and start building that referral network. And again, we're doing all of this to prepare for calling random strangers. So this is about as close to random stranger with a little bit of warm introduction that you're going to get. You want to start talking about who you are and what you do. You want to start polishing your elevator pitch. This is going to be a perfect, non-threatening way to do that. Is there anyone in their network you'd like an introduction to? And one important thing to remember here is you need to offer them the opportunity to meet people in your network as well. So cold calling is really a giver's gain game. You want to bring as much value to the conversations as you're going to take away from them. So be prepared to trade leads with people. Be prepared to do a little bit of work to help the people in your network become successful. But when you're going in and talking to people on LinkedIn, know who you want to talk to in their network before you begin the conversation. So have conversations about how you can refer business to each other. What kind of business are they looking for? Be ready to explain precisely what types of business you work best with. And then point out that it looks like there's 5 or 6 people in their network that actually fit that description. So to summarize, prospecting is really just like networking on steroids. It's faster, it's easier, you don't have to leave the house to do it. So if you can network, if you can go into an event of any kind and start shaking people's hands and handing out business cards, you can prospect by phone. It will be almost exactly the same experience. So there are some ways that managed sales pros can help, and I promise this is the only salesy slide in the bit. We can do this for you. So we can do all your outbound prospecting for you and schedule your sales appointments. We can partner with any marketing company that you're currently working with and follow up on the leads that they're generating for you if you don't want to do that. We can introduce you to marketing partners if you're not currently working with anyone. I'm happy to do that. Please just send me an email. We can teach you how to do this, or we can teach your team how to do it. And if you don't really want to connect with us at all, you can still subscribe to our free newsletter where we will send you sales prospecting tips every week. With that, does anyone have any questions?